Was most famously involved in the hunting down, the chasing, the shelling and the eventual sinking of the German pocket battleship Scharnhorst. She last fired those powerful guns in anger during the Korean campaign of the early 1950s. She's been here on the Thames now since 1972 and she's a floating naval museum. Now keep looking to the left. And there of course you see the large glass tower. That is the Shard. It's there to represent the Shard glass. That building stands 1,015 feet high, which officially makes it the tallest building in Western Europe. Now it is mainly a complex of offices, however there is a couple of restaurants in that building and some very luxurious apartments. Now over here to the right, so again slightly ahead of us, you see the yellow brick building with the black domed roofs. Look up on those roofs, you will see there are gold ornate fish for weathermen. That is because that building once housed the famous Billingsgate fish market. And a fish market stood on that site for nearly 900 years. Now they moved out of this building quite a few years ago, and they moved to larger premises about 10 miles downstream in London's East End. Now the first bridge we will be passing beneath today is the London Road Bridge. The bridge you see today was opened in 1973 by our late Queen Elizabeth II, and it is the 5th London bridge to have stood on or near this site. The first bridge was built by the Romans over 2,000 years ago. The second bridge, well, that fell down. The third bridge famously stood here for nearly 600 years. It was built in 1209 and it lasted nearly 600 years. The fourth London Bridge was sinking into the mud, so it was taken down during the late 1960s. It was sold to an American businessman called Robert McCulloch, and it was sold for £1 million, and that bridge now stands over part of Lake Havasu in the Arizona desert. It's actually there as a tourist attraction. Now in a moment, if you look to the right, in between these two buildings, you will see the tall stone column with the golden ball of flame on the top. That is Sir Christopher Wren's monument to the Great Fire of London of 1666. It stands 202 feet high, and if laid down in an easterly direction, that is the opposite direction to the one we're travelling, that golden ball of flame would pinpoint the start of the Great Fire in a baker's shop in Pudding Lane. Now as we pass beneath the London Road Bridge, look to your left. Behind those trees in a moment, you will see Southwark Cathedral. Parts of the cathedral date back to the 12th century, and it was in there the son of a local trader was baptised. He was baptised at John Harvard. He later went on to found the Harvard University in Massachusetts, USA. Still over to your left, you see the stern, the masts of what look to be a very old ship. Okay, now don't be fooled by this. That ship isn't as old as it actually looks. In fact, has anybody on board seen that film, Pirates of the Caribbean? The ship you see over there today has nothing to do with that film whatsoever, son. Okay. That ship was built in 1971 in Appledore, North Devon, which is a complete working replica of Sir Francis Drake's ship, the Golden Hind. Now you may notice I said working replica, and that is because the ship you actually see over there today has circumnavigated the globe twice, which is once more than the original Golden One. Now this next bridge we'll soon be passing beneath is the Cannon Street Railway Bridge. Cannon Street main line station is up on the bridge to the right. It's one of London's oldest riverside inns. Parts of that pub date back to 1615. It's a very nice pub too. They do serve some lovely meals and fine beers. So if you are in London for any amount of time, that pub is well worth a visit. This next bridge ahead of us is the Southwark Road Bridge, opened in 1928. Originally constructed to ease the congestion of the old London Bridge. Today this bridge is the narrowest and least used of all the London bridges, owing to the fact that the approach roads are so hard to find. They are nestled between London's tall office buildings. Now in a moment, once we are through the Southwark Road Bridge, look to your left and you can see the White Timber Factory flying red flag. That building is the new Globe Theatre. It was all funded by the American film director and producer Sam Wanamaker. It opened in 1996 and is a replica of Shakespeare's Globe, which stood somewhere near that site over 400 years ago. Now there is a fully working theatre, so for a small fee you can go inside that building and see some of Shakespeare's plays being reenacted. It's 2.5 tonnes, and the beak of it points to the shores of northern France, where many of our brave airmen and women lost their lives during the First and Second World Wars. It is in fact an RAF memorial. Here to the left is of course the London Eye. Now the Eye was put there in the year 2000 as part of our Millennium celebrations. It stands 450 feet high. To the left with the green pinnacle on the roof, well that is County Hall, the former headquarters of the GLC, the Greater London Council. Now they were abolished in 1986. The building was empty for a very long time. The London Aquarium, there is a couple of restaurants in there, and I believe there is a hotel. The bridge ahead of us, the Westminster Road Bridge, the only bridge to span the River Thames that has 7 arches, 1 arch for each day of the week. Now of course here to the right, this is our destination. This is Westminster Pier. Now rather than us just go straight to the pier so you can disembark, the captain has slowed the vessel down and he's going to take us a little bit closer to the bridge, and by doing this we will give you the ideal opportunity to take some nice pictures of the Houses of Parliament and Big Ben. Now the Houses of Parliament was constructed in the 1850s. Big Ben is only the name of the 13.5-ton bell which chimes on the hour, and it got its name Big Ben after the Commissioner of Building Works at the time. His name was Benjamin Hall. He stood just 5 feet tall and apparently was very, very fat. He was said to resemble the bell, so they nicknamed the bell Big Ben, and that is why we call it Big Ben today. The actual name of that tower is the Elizabeth Tower. The clock is known as the Great Clock of Westminster. If you look to the tower where you see the Union Jack, that is known as the Victoria Tower. Now that is where all the ballot papers are stored after each and every general election. And they're stored in there for 1 year and 1 day exactly. And once you have done so, I will then ask you to remain seated just in the interests of safety. And as I said, we will be going into the pier as soon as this other boat leaves. There's one final point which is rather important. Okay, now you may remember back at the Tower of London when we left the pier.